Hi, my name is Tiago Duarte and welcome to another video tutorial here at DailyBeats. In today's video I'm going to show you how to configure your audio device or audio card and how to record audio into FL Studio. And before we start, I would like to ask you to subscribe and activate the notifications so that you know when we upload new videos, and if you have any questions just leave a comment below, and also consider support our channel by buying one of our products at dailybeats.pt or become a premium or exclusive member, and you will have access to exclusive tutorials about music production and also to the project files of these tutorials. So without further ado, let's start the tutorial. The first thing I'm going to do is to configure my USB external audio device, and the device that I have is a PreSonus audio box USB, and this is a very simple yet I like it a lot USB box. So let's go ahead, and there is a couple of things that I want to talk about. First is that independent of the device that you have, you always have drivers for your boxes or for your external devices, and in this case I installed a software driver for the from PreSonus to configure my audio configurations basically, and those are the configurations that are set to your box. And if I go here, we will have something called universal control, and again but something that I want to tell you about is that these configurations are just for the other box USB and also specific for my studio, and you will have different configurations for your studio, and you have to first understand the logic of how to configure your audio and understand what's going on so that you can then apply the configurations that you want to your studio, because every case is a case, every studio is a studio, and it will have different setups and different configurations. So the first thing here that we can talk about is the audio box USB. So this is the name of this box here that I have, and you can see that I have two inputs. These two knobs are for the gain of input 1. This one here is phantom power and gain of input 2. Here is the mix knob that will mix the signal from the inputs directly into the headphones or the audio speakers. Then here we have this knob here at the top, right top. It's the headphone volume, and here is the volume of the speakers. So here we have the sample rate, and you can see this is 44.1 kilohertz, and this is the rate at which we sample audio. So if you understand a little bit of electronics, or even if you don't, the sample rate is the rate at which we will take a piece or a sample of the audio that we have in the input. For instance, I'm speaking and my voice is analog, and the voice is being captured by the microphone, which is still analog. It's going through the cable here, you can see the cable here, this cable, and it's going directly into the input of my USB audio box. Then it will be converted from analog to digital, and that conversion is at a rate of 44.1 kilohertz. And what is this number? This number, it tells us how fast we are getting samples of the audio. So as I'm speaking, the analog to digital converters is taking a piece of the input, and it's taking a sample of that input. So if I open up here the calculator, we can see that this is hertz, and to translate from hertz to seconds we have to do 1 over hertz to get seconds, and vice versa. If you want to have seconds, you can do hertz. No, what did I say? Whatever, I will show you. So we have, if we want to know how much seconds or how much is this in seconds, we can do something like 1 divided by 44100, and if I hit enter, you will see that this is 22.6 or 2.26 exponential minus 5, and this is in seconds. So this is 22.6 microseconds, and this is the rate at which we are sampling the audio signal from the input of the analog to digital converter. So at every 22 microseconds we are getting a sample of the audio, and this is why we get some really nice quality at this frequency, or at this frequency, yeah. And if I do the reverse, so let's do 0.00000226 samples multiplied by 44100, you will see that this is pretty much 1 second, which is 1 second. So this is just to prove the math, and we are getting at 22 microseconds, which is a very small number. We are doing a sample, or the analog to digital converter is getting a sample of the input. That's why we got so many samples with the recording. And here we can see that we have 44.1 and 48. These are the only two options that I have here in my external device, and you can have much more options like 20, 90, 96 or 94, something like that, or 98, and you can have 128. The higher you can go, the better. But in this case I'm limited to this one. So this one here is CD quality, this one here is DVD quality. So if you are recording for DVD, you can use 48. If you are recording for CD, you can use 44.1. Then we have the clock source, which for this case is internal, it's okay. We have block size, and this will tell the block size of data that will be processed in the audio box. And for this case I will leave it at 512. And then we have the input and output format. As you can see here, we only have 2 channels, 24 bits, and this is not an option. So every audio that comes into this audio box, it's going to live at 2 channels, 24 bit. No matter how or what sample rate or bit depth, or even if it's mono, it will go out in this frequency, in this sample rate, at this input and output format. This is the configurations for the hardware. Next we have the Windows configurations. So if I open up here the open sound devices, sorry, this is in Portuguese, but as you can see here we have input device, but it will be pretty much the same menu. I have here the input device, and as you can see here I defined the default output device as my audio box USB, and this is just for my studio here. You do not have to match these configurations. This is my requirements, the way I like to have my studio set up, and in your case you will have your configurations the way you want. So what I'm trying to give you is the several parts that constitute the audio path of from the DAW to the speakers and vice versa, so that you have a better understanding and you can configure yourself in the way you want. So this is the default device, and as you can see here, for the entrance, the input, this is output. For the output input, I also selected audio box USB. I have this selected because I want to send everything from Windows. I want to send it out from the audio box. And again, you can configure, if you have several other devices, you can, for instance, have your PC connected to a pair of speakers, and then you can have your audio box connected to a different pair of speakers. So you might want to separate these two sound systems, and you can do that, configure, for instance, the output from the Windows system into a pair of speakers, and the output, for instance, of the FL Studio to another pair of speakers. And this is pretty much it. So now let's go into FL Studio, and the next configuration that we have to set up is here under Options, Audio Settings. And here the device, I recommend you to use FL Studio ASIO because it's the one that is developed by ImageLine, which is the developer of FL Studio. And I know that they do both, and this is the best option. They will have seamless integration between one and another. And if you open up, for instance, you can also connect directly to the AudioBox ASIO driver. And if I do that, if I select, for instance, this one here, what happens is that if I open up FL Studio, I will lose the audio from my Windows. And I don't like that. So what I usually do is to select or have my Windows default device being the audio box or my external audio interface, and then here in the Show ASIO panel I select the output of FL Studio to be the default output of Windows. So the FL Studio output is going directly to the default Windows device, which is my audio box USB. And this is the path that I want. You can select a different path. So if you go here to the output, you can select, for instance, the high definition audio device. If you have, I have here HDMI monitor, I can select also that one. So as you can see, you can select several devices, but I usually stay with the default output because I selected that here in the Windows device audio device. And the same goes here for the input. I can select AudioBox or the audio from the webcam. And yeah, this is pretty much it. Again, for instance, also one other thing here, the buffer length. I selected here in my universal control, I selected 512. If I selected 256, it will also work, but there will be a difference between this buffer here and the buffer that goes to the universal control. So the output buffer of my audio box will be always 512, independent of the way I configured here the FL Studio ASIO device. I recommend that if you select here 512, that you also select here 512, but this is not mandatory. As you can see, I selected one here and another one here, and I still have sound. I can prove it to you. So let's see, let's select this one here. As you can see, I still have sound into the output of my FL Studio. So I recommend that you select both for the same. So 512 here and 512 here. So now I can close this. I hope this is clear. I don't mess around with any other options because I have to configure everything. So if you set let's say, oh, here are the other values. So 44, 1, 48, 88.2, 96 and 192. So you can see that we have several sample rates. I usually leave it at this one because it's the default. You can try out your configurations, the one that you want. You can try out and see the difference to see if you really want it or if you can see the difference or listen to the difference. And okay, this is the audio configuration, and I know it's a little bit, there are a lot of steps here, but they are really important for you to understand how to configure your audio device. And this is something that you should be, sorry about that, this is something that you should be a little bit more comfortable with. So if you don't have the knowledge, go ahead and read about it, understand what is what, so that you understand how to configure your set up your home studio or your actually studio. So for recording audio, we have to go, for instance, here to select a channel, and we have several options. And if we go here to this side, we can see that we have input and output. So if I select here, we will see that we have FL Studio ASIO stereo, which is input 1 and input 2, and also we have mono, which is input 1 and also input 2. If I select this one, you will only listen to my voice, because this mic is connected to input 1. You will listen my voice only on the right side or left side, I'm not sure which one, but you will only listen my voice in one of them. I can show you. As you can see here, this is just the left channel. And let me put none. You can also configure the output for this channel. In this case, I only have one output, and if you go to the master, this one here is connected automatically by default. And if you have several outputs, you can select ones that you want. In this case, I only have one again. Every setup will be different. Of course, you can look up tutorials on the same audio interface that you have, and you can understand a little bit better, but what matters is the general concept of the audio setup, audio path. So let's go ahead and record something. So I want to record in channel 1 or in input 1, which is this mic connected. So let's select this, and as you can see here, it creates this strange effect. So for me to disable this, I have to take the output of this signal. This only happens because I have two source, or I have. This is just because of my setup here, because I'm recording a video, and also I'm recording the audio from OBS. It's going directly into OBS, and also here to FL Studio. And why this is happening is, from the moment I speak, the microphone captures my voice, it sends the signal directly through the cable into my audio box, then the analog to digital converters will sample my voice, then they will send the data through USB, it will go to my computer, then it will have to pass through the OS into FL Studio. All of this path takes time, and you will see this because from the moment I speak until the time that the data arrives at FL Studio, we have a little bit of time, and that time is called latency. And that latency is what creates this strange effect in my voice when I speak with both if I connect this effect is because of the latency. And you can have different ways to reduce the latency, but that will also depend on your device. So to record is very simple. We just have to make sure that this here is selected, it's red, and then we can go to the playlist and we can select here record, and then audio into the Edison audio editor / recorder, or audio into the playlist as an audio clip. Most of the times you will want this one here, because the audio will also be shown here. And for this video I will record Daily Beats Productions, and you are listening to Daily Beats, which is the tag from my beats. So let's record, and as soon as I hit this knob here, or this button, it will start recording. So let's start. Daily Beats Productions. You are listening to Daily Beats Productions. Okay, and you already listened to a little bit of the part. So to stop, you can click here stop, or you can also click here and it will stop recording. So now we can listen. So I will shut up and I will play, and you will listen the recording that I just did. Daily Beats Productions. You are listening to Daily Beats. As you can see, I recorded the audio, into the playlist, and it was nicely recorded. Also here, if you can see, this is an extra tip here. You can see that FL Studio automatically added this channel that I just recorded to track 100. I don't like this because I usually put my auxiliary reverb here on this send on channel 100, and I always record, and then when I hit play I always get a lot of reverb, which I don't really like the way this is it. But instead of you just going like this to go to 0, there is a better way that to reset this, and it's just not right click, mouse click, or the wheel. If you have a mouse wheel, click on the wheel and it will automatically reset the track, and then you can go ahead and put it wherever you want, wherever you want. So this is basically it. Again, you have to first configure your audio, your drivers for your interface. Then you can configure your Windows system, and then you have to configure FL Studio and then record audio using here the mixer. It's a step that it looks simple, but it involves a lot of parts, and you have to configure them correctly for your case, the way you want them to be, because the way I want my studio to be set up, it will be different from your configuration, the way you want, and that's the tricky part of explaining how to configure audio devices in FL Studio. I hope this video was helpful, and yeah, if you are new here to this channel, subscribe and activate the notifications so that you know when we upload new videos. And if you have any questions, just leave a comment below, and also consider supporting this channel by buying one of our products at DailyBeats.pt, or become a premium or exclusive member, and you will have access to exclusive tutorials and also to the project files of these tutorials that we do here to YouTube and Facebook. So this is it, guys. I hope this video was helpful, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.